Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Acton Auto Boutique in Acton, Massachusetts, we're taking a step back and we're looking at the 2014 911 Carrera 4S. This one is a PDK model, and it features a 3.8-liter naturally aspirated flat six, which is why I think this car is so important, because despite the fact that 991.2s got faster with their turbos, this .1 is really the end of an era. This is the end of naturally aspirated Carreras, and the 3.8-liter sings a particularly wonderful song that now you can't really get unless you go GT3, and then you're spending big money and maybe it's not a daily driver. This represents one of the greatest sports cars of all time because you can use it on the weekend, you could take it to the track, but more importantly, you can enjoy it every single day. It's practical, it's quick, it's emotional, it's well built. The .1 is a recommend from me almost all of the time, and the C4S is kind of the jack of all trades. In true Tedward fashion, the second I turn on a camera, out come the angle grinders or the lawn crews. So my apologies, we're gonna get into this car and make much better noises from the rear. First of all, you're gonna notice this very cool glass moonroof. It's large. Back in the 993 days, this would have pretty much been a Targa coming all the way back. But no, we did get a proper Targa for 991, which is a major milestone in the 911 lineup. And I think the 991.1 is the oldest new feeling car you can buy, because as much as I love a 997, it does start to feel dated, and it does start to feel like a more special vintage weekender vibe, where this car, you could buy this in completely daily drive in normal traffic. It looks modern, it feels modern, and I just don't think you would really be making any concessions. In fact, you're just saving a ton of money because 911s have gotten so much more expensive. And if I'm being honest, I prefer the 3.8 liter to the 3-liter twin turbo. I think this is sharp, I think it sounds better, and I think this is more true to the Carrera heritage. So that may just be me, but I've had people say, oh, I own a 991, but it's just a .1. I'm like, just a .1. .1 is where it's at. Gluing us to the road on a 20-inch wheel is a 245 section tire up front, a 305 in the rear, a typical 911 stagger. And you'll notice this is ultra wide because it's a Carrera 4S. The 4S gets the turbo wide body, no vents, but it just adds a little more oomph. Now, from some angles, it's actually difficult to tell. It's funny how important that inlet, that scoop is on the turbos to identify that wide body, but when you stand behind it, there's no mistaking it for a wide body. That becomes abundantly clear. Quad tips for this exhaust. Let me get it started up for you because I think even just idling this thing is wonderful. Ooh, nice day for a flight. This doesn't even have the sport exhaust, and it sounds this good. Can you remember these days? I sure can. Now, unfortunately, there's really nothing to see under that little deck lid. This is about the time where we start losing literal sight of our rear engine power plant, because it just gives you the ability to put some oil and coolant in there. And what the heck, I'll show you. Pretty much all of you know what's to see, but why not, just in case? There you go, Carrera 3.8. That's all you get. A couple little fans and that. Not the most exciting thing in the world. Now, 911s are wildly practical. Not necessarily wildly practical for moving lots of people, but they are wildly practical for use as kind of a single or a couple. I could certainly make plenty of use of the parcel shelf. All this space in the back is just so perfect for a normal person who just needs to bring some backpacks and luggage and stuff like that. Now, you can always get a roof rack if you want to be cycling or whatever, but that's okay. Up front, plenty of space for your bags. This is the sports car that does it all. And maybe that's a little boring. Maybe you want something a little more extreme, and that is why people go off and buy the Italians. But I gotta tell you, to be able to just jump in this and everything works. I mean, even from the door handles, like I miss door handles like this. Now we have the door handles that pop out on you as you approach the car, and sometimes they don't, sometimes they grab your fingers. Heck, even new 911s, doing this can be a chore because it has that strap, and sometimes the strap doesn't pull in the correct direction, or it's a little curmudgeonly and you've got to really yank it. It's just all these little things about this particular generation of 911 was well thought out. And I know that not everybody particularly loves these cup holders, but guess what, guys? They work, and it's clever because when you want to tuck them away, they just disappear. And nothing is blocking my shifting. If this was a manual transmission, I wouldn't have anything in the way. Got your little smoker's package here. I mean, come on, man. It just almost doesn't get better than this. The visibility is almost unmatched. For a modern car, at least. I mean, let's see. If I bring this seat up a little bit, we'll get a little more visibility out of that rear quarter. Well, look at that. I can see everything. The controls are easy. There's no silly infotainment screen that I have to navigate much more than my radio stations. I've got a CD player if I want. I've got easy HVAC controls down here. And look, maybe the only down point is there's no reverse camera. You'll also notice that this has the good steering wheel. I think this is a must upgrade if you have an older 911 that has the buttons on the thumbs that do the same thing on both sides. That doesn't quite add up to me, but I love the steering wheel. The paddles are fantastic. They move with the wheel. They're not column mounted. And in addition to that, the PDK shifter, well, you can throw it into manual. This is backwards. It's forward for an upshift and back for a downshift, whereas today we've kind of all come to the consensus that you pull back for an upshift. But that's all right. Let's get out and go for a drive. It's important to remember what was going on with the 911 at this time. When this car came out, the big story was the steering. They moved from a hydraulic steering rack to the EPAS system, the electric power assisted steering, and that was devastating. How dare they besmirch and remove tactility from the 911? Oh my goodness, the world is ending. That almost seems cute and adorable now, considering what kind of moves the auto industry has made in the years past. We barely get a tachometer anymore, and we have to look at screens. We get haptic buttons that almost never work. All these little things that you're like, I can't believe we were complaining about the steering on this car. I was so excited to get it in drive, I don't even think I said the power figures. It makes about 400 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. We are mated to a 7-speed PDK. Manuals are good, but PDK in this era was a wonderful transmission. Although second gear is awfully long. I think cars have gotten really fast lately. And that's fun. Fast cars are good. I'm okay with fast cars. The problem is that sometimes you can't use them and it gets boring because every time you want to put your foot down, there's a Honda Pilot in your way. And I have to just give credit where it's due, where this is the appropriate amount of power. It has all the handling chops you could need. If this is not enough handling for you, then I recommend a Miata and some driving lessons, because this is more than enough. And if you can't operate this in a meaningful way with the available power, then again, we need to go backwards a little bit and figure out the driving skill situation. What I love about this car, though, is that it fits highway use and it fits back road use equally. I mean, this could be right at home, just going wide open throttle through Autobahn, unrestricted roads, no problems. And you can also take it on some tight, windy back roads and have an absolute blast. There's a light feeling to this car. For beeping, considering I have a lane. Not smart, lady. In Sport Plus, you can't get into 7th gear, and it's going to try to hold me in 5th. So we'll knock that down. Porsche didn't really focus that heavily on the old, wow, what on earth, gorgeous truck. Porsche didn't focus that heavily on the older steering wheels for shift paddles. I'm in drive right now, by the way, and this is what I'm trying to illustrate, is they didn't even want you to be shifting. They were like, dude, let the car is gonna do what it needs to do. It'll keep you in the power band, trust the car. And I've been on racetracks, I've been at the Porsche Experience Center handling circuits, and they're right. You don't need to be fiddling with the paddles. On the road, though, I do find that it's more enjoyable to have paddles. And so they did listen, and they did give us better steering wheels. They gave us better paddles, and they enabled us an engaging experience with our cars. But like, look, the car's like, hey, you're in Sport Plus. You're telling me that you want a boogie, and so we're gonna just be ready for you at all times. Now, if I knock it into sport mode, it's gonna hold a slightly higher gear than not sport mode, but it's also not going to be shouting to the world that I'm like eager. But then you can just kind of chill. These cars are really easy to just use as a normal thing, and that, I think, is the magic of a Porsche 911. Is that it's pretty hardcore, it's pretty surgical in a corner, but then it can also just do this really normal thing where it kind of slips under the radar. But I do just want to show you. And I've never really dipped more than 4 or 5 tenths into the brakes on this drive, because you don't need to. There's so much brakes. This thing will slow down, and it will slow down repeatedly over and over and over again. up this 991.1 video. I am really in love with this car, and I think the .1 doesn't get the credit it deserves because this felt pretty raw, pretty direct, despite the, oh my goodness, we went to an E-Pass steering system. Even with PDK, I mean, the PDK doesn't feel dated. The car feels light. The engine is a peach. I mean, I would always prefer this 3.8 over the 3-liter twin turbo, even if it's slower. I think it's just a more exciting experience. And it's really tough to get, and yes, that is an M5 wagon. They have some really cool stuff here. It's really tough to get this experience from a 911, a new 911 today, because now you've almost got to go to GT3 levels to get the sort of sound and enjoyment out of this. Whereas this car, this is just a sports car. It's not a track car. It's not a track weapon. It's just here to make the right noises and make you feel special while you're doing your normal thing. So sure, get a manual, get a PDK, get a 2S, get a 4S, get whatever you're looking for. But I'm telling you, 991.1 is a little bit untapped, and I think that there's really a lot of non-GT cars that people have overlooked just because they think they need a GT3. I think that 991.1 is such a sweet spot. It's just modern enough to fit in with 2026 traffic, not make it feel like you're driving a vintage car, but just old school enough to make it feel like you're driving the 911 you always dreamed of. And the way prices are going right now, I know that I'm probably not gonna see a GT3 in my driveway anytime soon, but I could see something like this, and this could be a daily driver. This could be a fun sports car, and it can give you all of the fizz, all of the fun experiences that you wanted out of a loud, revvy, happy flat six before emissions killed it, before they went turbos, before they had to put particulate filters in, before they had to get quiet, and before you really had to have a sport exhaust button, because otherwise the thing was just too damn quiet. And here, this thing sounds raucous pretty much all the time. So anyway, thank you so much to Acton Auto Boutique here in Acton, Massachusetts for this wonderful drive in a 991.1 Carrera 4S. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.